Steve is a diesel locomotive that works in South Plainsville Yard. He works hard switching passenger and freight cars, getting them ready for other engines to take them out on the line. Although Steve loves his job and helping others, it can get a little annoying. Hey Steve, are my passenger cars ready? Hey Steve, can you get my tank cars? Hey Steve, I can't find my coal cars. Hey Steve, can you? Hey Steve? Hey Steve? Hey Steve? One morning, Steve was switching train number 2, the Otisville Daylight, in the South Plainsville station when, ouch, damn it, he shouted. Are you alright, Steve? Asked Larry. No, groaned Steve. I've blown a traction motor. Don't worry, replied Larry. I'll help you. Larry helped Steve push the train to the station and then shunted Steve into a siding where Mr. Egan was waiting. You will have to go to the works, Mr. Egan told Steve. But sir, who'll look after the yard? I can get Bernard to cover today, but I need him on coal trains after that. I can do it, Larry said. Thank you, Larry, Mr. Egan replied, but I need you on the main line. I wonder if... Yes, I'll call him at once. News of Steve's breakdown spread down the line. All the engines felt sorry for him, except, I've been switching cars for years and never broke down, Benny said rudely. I have no sympathy for him. Well, that's not nice, snapped Nicole. Have you ever worked in a yard as big as South Plainsville before? Asked Lewis. No, but I bet I could do it better than Steve. That's great to know, said a voice. It was Mr. McCormick. I'm loaning you to Mr. Egan to switch South Plainsville Yard. But, stuttered Benny, what about the work here? Mr. Egan has adjusted to Sean's work so we can help out here. Lewis and Nicole laughed while Benny sulked. The next day, Benny arrived at South Plainsville, where Bernard was there to greet him. Hey, Benny, Mr. Egan wants me to give you some tips on how to run the yard. No, thank you, Benny said proudly. I know all about yards. Fine, said Bernard. I'll leave you to it. Benny gave the engines hell all day. He constantly pushed trains into the long platforms and constantly misplaced freight cars. He was also very rude when other engines asked him for help. All of the engines and their crews complained to Mr. Egan about Benny, and that evening Mr. Egan made it perfectly clear that Benny's behavior would not be tolerated. The next morning, Benny had to bring Bunker C steam locomotive oil to the oil docks so Kryssy, Christion, and Ian could get oil if they needed it that morning. However, Benny was still in a grumpy mood and wasn't paying attention. Instead of collecting the tanker of oil, he picked up the tanker of milk Nakira brought in the night before. He pushed it to the oil racks and then went to arrange Kevin's train. As he left, Kryssy arrived to fill her tender with oil. The rest of Benny's day was uneventful. He pushed the coaches into the right platforms, and aside from a few smart remarks, he didn't argue with anyone. Later, he was having a rest when Mr. Egan walked up to him. His face was as red as a danger signal. What the hell is wrong with you? He snapped. Benny was cross. I haven't done anything. Oh, yes, you did, Mr. Egan replied furiously. You filled the oil racks with milk. Now Kryssy is at Danille sick to her firebox. Oops, said Benny. I have already talked to Mr. McCormick and we agreed on the perfect punishment. Benny gulped. The next day, Amber was asked to switch the yard for a few days. The engines felt happier with her because she had a pleasant attitude. Benny returned to Danille, but he wasn't alone. Steve was repaired and was asked to teach Benny how to run a yard correctly. Benny hated being told what to do in his own yard, but the little engines enjoyed every minute of it. After that, Benny never bragged about running a yard again.